We got to keep God first. We got to stay humble. We got to keep working, and we got to get this money. Economic empowerment is what's going to keep all of us on the straight and narrow. Everybody.
Black Jesus.
Hot off the money presses, guys. What's going on in pop culture, how it affects you, and how it affects your finances. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment. And we are broadcasting live from Frisco to Maine all the way to Spain. We're broadcasting live in all GM vehicles. So shout out to our sponsor, General Motors, for the first half of the show. Speaking of people being for the first half of the show, I have Mr. Hired Gun with us. That's his new nickname, Mr. L. Bricklin Phoenix. He is a full-time day trader, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and we're going to be talking with him today about trading stocks and bonds and commodities and all of that great stuff. So give us a call with your questions, 855-75-MONEY. That is 855-75-MONEY. Now, we were talking about, before we went to break, hot off the money presses, guys. You know, what's going on in pop culture, what's going on in the news, and how it affects you. I know that we were talking about this during the break. You yourself, I don't know if you mind me telling, but you yourself are a libertarian. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Yes. So describe to me or explain to people what a libertarian is, because I thought it was about partisan, and you were teaching me that it's a little different than that.
Well, it's basically a separate party. You know, there's the two major parties that we both know. We know there's the Republican Party and Democratic Party, and they usually take all the headlines. But there's other smaller parties that are out there, and one of them that I associated myself with for actually a few years now is the Libertarian Party. And basically, they are, if you had to describe it in one phrase, they are socially liberal, fiscally conservative. So they believe in balanced budgets. They believe in smaller government, but then they also believe in a woman's right to choose.
Okay, that's good stuff.
They also believe in certain things or certain principles that, especially in the black community, that's important to us.
That's good.
As far as even though you want to be independent and things like that, but there's a each one teach one mentality, and so when it comes to libertarianism, if you will,
I've definitely heard that term before. Libertarianism.
It's they definitely all about liberal liberty from the standpoint of the government should not have a right to be involved in your bedroom.
Okay.
They shouldn't have the right to tell you who you can and can't get married to. So they're really hands-off when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to the federal government from that perspective. It's usually more so about states' rights, less federal government. Let's get that smaller, get it under control. That way we're not spending X amount of dollars in taxes every year because of the fact that, we have this almighty big brother government trying to control all the aspects of our lives. Now, get government out of it, let people... As long as what I'm doing isn't affecting you, it's not hurting you, then I should be free to do just about what I need to do to survive.
That's cool. It's interesting you said Big Brother and all that other stuff because the CEO in chief he accused President Obama of hacking and tapping his phones, and we actually have a clip that ABC yesterday did an interview with Trump in the Oval Office, and he actually walked away from the interview. So you guys listen to this as he was being questioned and being held accountable for his accusations against President Obama. Listen to this.
President Obama give you any advice that was helpful? That you think, wow, he
was very nice to me, but after that we've had some difficulties. So you saw what happened with surveillance, and everybody saw what happened with surveillance.
Difficulties how?
I thought that, you saw what happened with surveillance, and I think that was inappropriate.
What does that mean, sir?
You can figure that out yourself.
Well, the reason I asked is you said you called him sick and bad.
Look, you can figure it out yourself. He was very nice to me with words, and when I was with him, but after that there has been no relationship.
But you stand by that claim about him?
I don't stand by anything. I just, you can take it the way you want. I think our side's been proven very strongly, and everybody's talking about it. And we should find out what the hell is going on.
I just wanted to find out, though, you're the President of the United States. You said he was sick and bad because he attacked you.
You can take it any way you want.
But I'm asking you, because you don't want it to be fake news. I want to hear it from President Trump.
You don't have to ask me.
Why not?
Because I have my own opinions. You can have your own opinions.
But I want to know your opinions. You're the President of the United States.
It's enough. Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
And so President Trump walks away in the Oval Office. He was being held accountable for his words, and he walked away. So it's interesting because I like the perspective of a libertarian because it's like the best of both worlds. You know, I was sharing with you that there's a dichotomy in me. There is the guy from Atlanta, Georgia, from Vine City, from the slums of Atlanta, who is socially conscious and is a big black man and gets stereotyped often. And then there's also the entrepreneurial side of me. So I have a love-hate relationship with Trump.
Right. Yeah. You know, when he was elected, and I said, listen, now is the time to incorporate.
Yes, now is the time.
Now is the time to incorporate. If you don't have a business license, you need to get one.
Yes.
Find some sort of business to be in.
That's so true.
Because he is going to relax certain laws when it comes to being an entrepreneur.
That's so true.
There's going to be certain tax benefits that's going to come your way because he's going to help out his big cat. He's going to help out his donors.
That's very true.
But so being a little guy in all this, you know, we might be able to ride that wave a little bit while he's off. Now everything else, like that clip right there, man.
Yeah, that's the other side of me. And so speaking of business, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys did not know it, yesterday was the day for the rappers to get tested to see if they're really business owners. We were talking about this. So Future has a lawsuit that's going on, and so he actually received a petition. The judge is trying to freeze his assets or to freeze his assets from his upcoming tour so that he can pay his possible debt that's about to happen. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So he was actually getting what we call charging orders, or he's been petitioned to get charging orders. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we talked about incorporating, and I explained charging orders. So Future is in the middle of a lawsuit right now with his former buddy, and we're talking about, you know, a lawsuit when it comes to that. Then also Akon was hit with a $100 million lawsuit from the I don't know what his title is, but Devon Stevens is his manager. And so Devon Stevens hit him with a $100 million lawsuit, as well as Ja Rule got hit with the lawsuit because of this whole fire island Hunger Games situation. When we get back, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So, hey, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hashtag Money Making Motivation on Facebook. Hashtag Money Making Motivation on Instagram. If you put a courier pigeon in the air, hashtag Money Making Motivation, we're going to send an intern to go get it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is Money Making Motivation, and more right after this on SSN ATL2. This is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment, and I'm your host, E.DeanCole. We broadcast live from Atlanta, Georgia, every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3, right here on SSN ATL2. SSN ATL, as well as we're broadcasting in all GM vehicles. So during the break, we were actually just talking about incorporating, and we were talking about that because of some of the lawsuits that are coming down the pike. Yeah. And you were saying that when Trump got into office, you were teaching people about incorporating. Go ahead and tell me a little bit more, Brooklyn, about what you were talking about when it comes to that.
Well, not necessarily teaching, but more so trying to get the word out in the sense that, you know, when you're an individual, and what these, these individuals are going to find out is that if you don't incorporate, they can come after everything.
Yes, sir.
They will come after everything, and they will take everything and leave you with nothing.
Very true.
I actually incorporated at the later part of last year. I actually got my incorporation out in Vegas.
Okay. So you got the in Nevada. So you got the anonymous LLC.
Exactly, because Delaware and Las Vegas have the toughest, what they call corporate veil.
Very true.
And it's hard for people to come after you
and pierce the corporate veil.
Pierce that corporate veil and get after you. So it's all about protecting your assets, protecting your wealth, if you only got $15 in your pocket, you want
all of that $15.
You want to keep all that $15.
Very true.
You'd much rather want it in a business as opposed to just sitting around in a bank account, where people can come in and get it. And like you said, especially with that situation with Future, when they put that freeze on you.
Yes.
Now, again, if he was incorporated, and
then
that's where
he'd
have way more protection. But again, like I was saying before, when Trump got elected, I was telling people, like, listen, regardless of how you feel about the man, he's going to take care of his own. Incorporate, get you a business license, get into business doing something. That way, if there's something that you're doing that you can make some money off of or whatever, by the end of the time, at the end of the year, tax season is big.
Tax season is huge for corporations, especially even for nonprofits as well.
Absolutely.
And so speaking of that, I wanted to be more specific to talk about the situation. So Rocco confirms that the actual lawsuit against Future is for $10 million. So he is looking for a pending judgment. So what Rocco has done, Rocco has petitioned the judge to freeze Future's assets. And so he is looking to freeze Future's assets from this upcoming tour, not from the record sales, but from the tour, because that's when they make most of their money.
Right,
so
exactly.
Rocco is looking to get that lawsuit. It's very interesting when it comes to that. And you were talking about piercing the corporate veil. You were talking about your assets. And I teach in our online course, I actually teach businesses how they're able to incorporate, how they're able to protect their corporate veil, how they're able to avoid charging orders, because basically Future is being petitioned to be presented with charging orders. So it doesn't mean, so that basically that means that Rocco has just made a move to the courts, and so now it's up to the courts to see if they're going to do the charging orders. And so I'm definitely going to be interested to see what the judge says about that. Hopefully he will not, because the judgment is just a pending judgment. It has not been awarded yet. Now, if it had been awarded, then 9 times out of 10 the judge would just accept the petition and give them charging order. So that's very interesting. So you talk about incorporating last year. So tell everybody what you do and how you do it. You have a very interesting story about how you got into full-time trading. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I've always had an interest in day trading. Actually, when my kids were small, one time I was working my regular 9 to 5. My career, what I've done most of my life is IT, but a network engineer. And so I was at a park one day, and there was this guy out there. He was reading newspaper. Brother was out there with his daughter and my oldest daughter. They were playing together. I was like, hey, what
and so you're like me. You're a single father, and you have 3 beautiful daughters.
Yes.
I have 1 beautiful daughter. Lord have mercy. How many shotguns you got? What you got? What you got? What you got? The 9 on you right now? What you got?
Listen, bro. I got to keep them.
You got to keep it on you. Yes, sir.
But actually, at this time, I was actually married, but I had taken off work, and I had my daughter out there, and I was like, hey, what do you do, man? He's like, oh, yeah, I day trade. I was like, oh, really? You took off work too? He's like, no, I'm already done with my day. This was like 11 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
In the morning. And I was like, you done with your day? This was in the early 90s. Right? No, mid-90s, mid to late 90s. I was like, man, what do you do? And he's like, I day trade. So I started learning, trying to figure out about day trading, and I come to find out, it's like, man, it's a lucrative business. It's truly a lucrative business. And I started by made a move at the beginning of the year.
Well, hold on, but before you get into that, because this is very important, and I want their undivided attention when you talk about that. So listen, tell a friend to tell a friend. Anybody who's interested in day trading, have them to hit us up, 855-75-MONEY. When we get back, we're going to listen to how Phoenix decided to go into day trading. So give us a call with all of your questions, 855-75-MONEY. I have to get a word from our sponsors, but right after this, he's going to talk about how he was able to make a full-time living day trading right here on Money Making Motivation.
Strong, and there's Army Strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Station. I'm in the zone, man.
I'm impressed.
To the P, Don Carleone. Sean Paul in the building.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Money Making Motivation, your number 1 source for economic empowerment. And right before the break, we were actually listening to Brooklyn talk about his experience getting into day trading. And a lot of you guys have been reaching out to me. And so let me take a little step back. So if someone shared this with you and you don't know who I am, you don't know what we do, my name is E.DeanCole. I own E.DeanCole Financial. We are a consulting firm, and we specialize in working capital, alternative finance, and business credit development. And in the alternative finance space comes hedge funds. That's my experience when it comes to day trading. And what I day trade is I trade the foreign exchange, Forex. And so you trade Forex and commodities as well. And so that's kind of my backdrop. And so we were giving an opportunity from a company called Markets World Live, and they are actually going to sponsor a training that I'm going to do to teach people how to day trade. And so a lot of you guys have seen me. I think, what was it, last week I flipped $100 to $1,000, and I showed that I flipped $50 into $600. And so I've been doing those different screenshots, and so a lot of you guys have been asking, when is the course coming out? The course is coming out 5/6/7. So May 16th, 2017 is when you guys will be able to get into the course. 5/6/7. May 16th, 2017. So in 2 weeks you'll be able to be in the course. And so I decided, I'm so very lucky to have another full-time trader, because I don't do it full-time, but technically I do, because you were just talking about how the gentleman was done at his day at 11 o'clock.
That's it.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about, so you had that conversation with him, and what positioned you to move forward into
I made a business deal early at the beginning of the year that actually netted me a good sum, and I realized at that time it was a good time for me to get out of IT and just focus on it full-time. I actually started taking some classes at a school here in Atlanta, and that's what put me on the road. Once I really started to see the amount of money that could be made, and I'm necessarily
it's a tremendous amount of money that can be made.
Exactly. It's life changing. It's life changing. You know, and on Facebook I've posted some of my good trades. I don't really post any bad ones.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Definitely some bad ones.
Yeah, there's definitely some bad. We're going to talk about that too. Dealing with those bad trades.
Ultimately, though, even just the platform you were just talking about, Market World, I got on this morning and kind of made like a quick 400 just
that's
in the
good.
demo account.
In the demo account, that's good.
Once I figured out, the option side of it. So it's trading is lucrative. I mean, and it affords you, like right now, my day's already over. From trading.
Yeah.
So that's why I was able to come up here and sit with you fine people.
And I do appreciate that. And so that's why I say I'm excited to have you on, because I trade I trade 2 sessions, because I am a CEO. And I do run E.DeanCole Financial. That's my day-to-day business. I run the actual business. I facilitate originating business loans. I facilitate consulting. Also, I mentor. Right now, we have like 275 businesses that are enrolled in my online course, and I mentor and teach with them. But I also trade full-time as well. And I trade the London session, and I trade the Asian session. And the best times. And so the London session starts at 3 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and the Asian session starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's before work and after work. And so typically, if I'm able to have a really good London session, I only trade for maybe about an hour or so. And my goal is to do 1,000 a day. That's my goal. Not always what happens, but that's my goal. And so sometimes, but like you made $400 today, even though it was a demo account, but it's still the principles behind that. I mean, think about how many people make $400 a week, and you're able to do that in a day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so that's what we're going to be teaching in the course. Now, which pairs? Now you teach on you trade Forex and commodities. So which one are your favorite between those two? Real quick.
Actually, I love commodities.
Commodities, okay.
Futures, if I only have one, I would trade futures all day long.
All right, so when we get back, we're going to break that down. What's the difference between commodities? What's the difference between futures and Forex? So you're listening live to Money Making Motivation, and I'm your host, E.DeanCole. When we get back, we're going to break it all down for you. So hit that like button, share, and we're going to get more with Mr. Phoenix, Mr. Brooklyn Phoenix, right here on Money Making Motivation.
Radio, not dumbed down.
Hey, Dean. How are you, Dean? Hey, Dean.
This is Money Making Motivation, your #1 source for economic empowerment. We are live every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3, and you are our co-host right here on SSN ATL. This is your #1 source for economic empowerment. If you want to give us a call, you can call us live on the radio, 855-75-MONEY. That is 855-756-6639. We're going to take your calls live on the air. And in the My 2 Cents segment, you can also reach out to me on Instagram, hashtag Money Making Motivation, on Twitter, at E.DeanCole, hashtag Motivation on Facebook, hashtag Money Making Motivation. And I've realized that certain people are at their regular 9 to 5s right now. So they cannot give us a call. A lot of people will come and say, Dean, I'm this during my lunch break and I want to call this and the third. So if you at me at Twitter, at E.DeanCole, hashtag Money Making Motivation, on Instagram, hashtag Money Making Motivation. If you do that, then give us a call, and we'll be taking your calls live on the air. Now, before the break, we were talking about commodities and futures. So my 2 cents, we're going to talk about it. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on this subject, on Forex, commodities, and futures. So explain and break down the difference between those three: Forex, commodities, and futures. Break that down for me.
Commodities is actually in futures.
Okay.
But just to give a difference between Forex and futures in and of itself is basically future contracts. To try and explain it really, really quickly, back when farmers were putting seeds in the ground, they had, if they put in they planted 100 bushels of corn, right? There's no guarantee that they'll pull up 100 bushels of corn when it's time to harvest. So that farmers had to have a way of making money on their product. So they would sell future contracts. So like, hey, this 100 bushels that I'm putting in the ground, if I harvest all 100, would net me, let's say, $1,000. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sell it to you for $850. Now, as someone that in the market or buying futures, you're more like say, yeah, okay, I could probably take that. Well, maybe that's too high. So you wait for that price to come down because at the end of the harvest season, if it gets anywhere close to that 1,000, that's money for you.
Okay, so futures is based on the currency or
it's contracts. It's contracts of different commodities. So like anything that you can.
And the commodity, let's break that down, is oil, gold, silver.
Exactly. If you can pull it out of the ground, if harvest it, pull it out of the ground, or even currencies, like we were talking about before. Everything, just about anything, can be traded on the futures market from the weather. You can predict future weather.
I didn't know that was possible.
So you hear things like soybean, you hear things like pork bellies, and all kinds of stuff. But crude oil is like one of the biggest things that we trade.
Yeah, and pork bellies is big as well. So is pork bellies really chitlins? Explain what pork bellies is.
Listen, I don't get that deep. I just know it can make you money.
It can make you money.
you catch it on the right trend, it will definitely make you some money. But yeah.
So time out. So if you like them chitlins out there and you want to know what to invest in in some pork bellies. Invest in what you like.
Listen, yeah, and even things like gold. Gold is very seasonal.
Gold is awesome. I like gold a lot.
It's like, well, we're going to be coming up to a season, and I didn't even notice. I learned about this, that in India during the wedding season, gold is a common gift. So the price of gold goes way up in the wedding season months.
Stock tip, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
Summertime, stock tip. May, June, July brides. Stock tip.
Exactly. Gold goes through the roof, and then right as that season is over, it starts to taper back down. So you catch the right trend.
Get money on the way up, and money when it comes down. And we were talking about that. So ladies and gentlemen, yes. So ladies and gentlemen, the stock market, quiet as it's kept, you're gonna always make money. You make money when the stock goes up. You're gonna make money when the stock goes down. In the second half of the show, we're gonna talk a little bit more about some of the strategies. We're gonna talk a little bit more about actual finances, because you have a very similar story to me. I think every trader does. Listen, you're going to lose money in the market. You're going to lose, but the idea is to keep a winning streak where you win more than you lose, and your money management. And my story was that I ended up making $8,000 in one day, and then I lost $14,000 the very next day because I got off of my rhythm, and I did not change my money management strategy. I kept martingale. And so you had a similar situation. And what was your situation like, Phoenix?
Well, my first time getting in Forex, that was my first asset that I traded. In the first week.
What was it, Euro USD? I think you said
it was, right? Euro USD,
which is the most popular trade. Right. Well, it's easy to trade the trend. But
right. Yeah, Euro is the largest market in the world, above any other market, commodities, futures, options, whatever. Euro trades the most of everything. And so I got in on there, and in the first week I made like $1,500. And I was like, oh man, that's it.
Yeah, $1,500.
Quit my job. Yeah. This is it. I done found the golden goose. And like within a couple of days, I gave it all back.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, man, this can't be life. This isn't real. And it was a moment where I realized you need to know what you don't know.
Yes.
You can't just wing it. Because
and also you can't gamble too.
You can't gamble.
Listen, and so that's one of the things, like in the course that I'm teaching, I talk about it. We teach you how to trade. We don't teach you how to gamble. We don't teach you how to do a game of chance. We teach you how to trade, understand price action, stochastics when it comes to overbought, undersold areas, price resistance points. We're going to break all of that down in the second half of the show, but we're going to come back. Listen, we have to get a word from our sponsors, but give us a call, 855-75-MONEY. When we get back, we're going to answer more of your questions. We're going to talk about this hashtag Money Making Motivation. This is your number one source for economic empowerment right here on Sensation Station Network.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment. Hey, if somebody have just shared this with you on Facebook, I want you to share the wealth. Share this button, share this. I'm going to have an intern looking. We're going to look at those shares. Let's see if you really support the movement. I see there's over, I think, 1,000 people watching live right now. So I want all 1,000 of you guys to share this right now. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, we're about to get into it. Spend It and Get It Right Back is one of my favorite segments. And Spend It and Get It Right Back is actually sponsored by Markets World Live. They are sponsoring this Forex trading, the day trading course that we're talking about. That's going to launch on 5/6/17, May 16th, 2017. You guys will be able to take a free course on the basics of binary options trading, Forex trading. Now, speaking of that, let's get into Spend It and Get It Right Back. Let's look at the Forex news and what's going on in the market. So today is May the 2nd, Tuesday, May the 2nd, which is right before May 4th, which is May the Force be with you. One of our sharp interns put me on to May the Force be with you, and she's walking by the camera right now. So if you're watching, you can see the intelligent mind that thought of that. So right now, today is a really good day for news, ladies and gentlemen. So in the Forex market today, oh man, what has happened? GBP had some very strong news for the manufacturing. Yeah. The manufacturing news came out. It came out 57.3, which was higher than before. Yeah. The euro had some really strong news happen today. Had a lot coming on with the euro. It was the Spanish manufacturing PMI came out. The Italian PMI came out. The German manufacturing. We were talking about that euro is the largest currency. Yeah. The largest currency pair.
Largest traded market period.
Yes, yeah. Traded market. So when you guys are trading the market, there's something that you have to learn. The trend is your friend.
That's right.
You have to determine the trend. The trend is your friend. You want to trade with the trend. When you trade with the big boys, and we're going to have Brooklyn, he's going to explain what that means to trade with the big boys in a second. But when you trade with the big boys, when the big boys eat, then you eat. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go against the people who are really writing the checks. And I'm going to break that down. Listen. Tune in to us on YouTube. I was actually trading live last night, and I'm posting that on YouTube. So hashtag Money Making Motivation on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to see some live trades that we're going to do. We're actually going to take some trades today. Now, I think I'm in the process of negotiating. Listen, I done put my banker on the phone to see if I can get about $10,580 check to see if I can convince Brooklyn to stay another hour. So, he charged by the hour. So let me see if I can get another $10,850, see if I can have him stay with us for the second hour. We're going to see, if my money is liquid enough. But but we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the market. So what are some of the things? Now, you said that you had a big market already this morning. What was it that you were trading? What is some good things to look out for that you're thinking on the Forex, the foreign exchange?
Actually, it was early this morning, and just to kind of look at what I had, what I made money on was U.S. dollar CAD and the pound U.S. dollar with my two big winners. Okay. Just in markets world.
And right now I'm looking at his trading chart right now. So this morning. Oh, wow, you are at 80%. And that's where you want to be, 80%. Right. So he took 10 trades. He won 8 and lost 2. And that's a good win ratio. Right. The average trader is at 60%. Right. And so what we try to do is, we try to be at 80%, 90%. I think I was at 90% the other day I posted. So it takes a lot of skill to do that. And we're going to talk about that during the second half of the show, what that skill is, the basics of what that skill is. And so so CAD is the Canadian dollar, right. And Euro USD is the euro versus the United States dollar. And what was the other one?
British pound.
The British pound. GBP and USD. Yeah. So euro is producing very well. There's a lot of news that comes out, and so in the course there are basically 3 strategies that we teach because there's so many different strategies, so many different indicators, so many different things, but this is for the basic trader. So listen, if you making $1 million a year, this is not the course for you. If you taking $10,000 lots, this is not the course for you. Right. So we're not going to talk about RSI. We're not going to talk about EMAs. We're not going to talk about stacking. We're not going to talk about that in this course. And that knowledge is, I was speaking industry terms for those individuals that are up there smoking their $1,000 cigars as they watch us, telling us what we're doing wrong. Right. Listen, this is not for you. This is for the individual that doesn't know anything about trading, who wants to get into trading. This is what we're going to be talking about. And so the 3 major things we're talking about, which is trading the news, which is what you were doing this morning, because all of your currency pairs were European currency pairs, and the European market was was doing extremely well because of all the news that came out. And I'm not talking about Channel 2 news. I'm not talking about the baby mama drama news. I'm talking about the Forex news, and we're going to talk about that. The second thing that we're going to talk about is price action. We're going to teach the basics of that, which is like candlestick reading. Right. And we're going to be talking about that. If you don't know what a candlestick is, we're not talking about candlestick, jump over the candlestick. We're not talking about that. That brought back some memories, right? Wow. Yeah, we're actually talking about the actual buying and selling and being able to read the market. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about is a little bit when it comes to historical values, when it comes to support and resistance. Those are the major three basic things that we're going to be teaching in the course, when it comes to money management. And that's what we were talking about before the break. Now, talk about your experience as well. So you said you made 15, and then you turned around and lost it.
Right. And so that was motivation and this was a few years back, but that was motivation that I understood that I had to get some education. And that was really what it was because like you said, there's a lot of things out there, and online and YouTube, on everything. I was trying to pull in so many different things, and I didn't have a real focused course to get me in the right direction. And it wasn't until I got that I really started to see more of a more consistency, but also, one of the things that I think is also important in trading, what I've learned just from instructors, is having a psychology behind it.
Yes, the psychology of trading is very key.
The mental game of trading is basically 80% of trading.
It's 80% of the thing, because it's not the money, because the money going to do what it's going to do anyway. No. It's all about the psychology of trading.
Once you see your trade and you execute your trade, if it's a good trade, if you know what you're doing, and the thing of it is, it's not difficult. Wall Street try to make it difficult. They try and make it seem like, you need to have, 6 degrees in order to trade on the market.
But you don't.
But you don't, But the thing is the psychology is be able to look at your trade and see it go against you and you not be like,
Yep. And you don't jump out. Because we had a situation that happened yesterday, right?
Man, yes.
Let's tell everybody about that situation as quick as you can, because I know we're about to go into a break. But tell everybody about how you could have made 1,000, but you made how much?
Oh gosh.
What was it?
I got it at $250 basically.
Okay. Yeah. So you left $750 on the table, but it's okay.
Right.
I'm gonna stop ruining it. I'm one of the guys, because I was like, oh man, I was so excited when he was telling me about it. I'm one of the guys. I don't want to ruin the movie for you. So listen to.
It's real quick. Is just the fact that the supply and demand, when price hits a certain particular point, once you understand the skills, it's going to move in a certain direction. But it's not going to stay in that direction. It's going to turn again. That's just what price does. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And when you spot it, you get in on it, and it was riding great. It was going up. In fact, I told my daughter about it. I was like, oh man, I showed it to her, like, oh man, it's up $1,000. She was like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, I went to bed, woke up, and it stopped me out. But I moved my stop to a point where I was at least going to take some profit.
Now, let's pause for a moment. So when he says stop is a
stop loss.
A stop loss is a pre-position trade, meaning that you're going to instantly go out of the trade so you don't lose all of your money.
Right. It was a position I just put myself in, that if it hits this point right here, it gets me out and I take something off the table instead of being broke at zero.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about money management a little bit more when we get back into it. Listen, we're coming up to the top of our hours, guys. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Hashtag Money Making Motivation. I'm going to read your tweets live on the air. Instagram, hashtag Money Making Motivation. At E.DeanCole on Twitter, hashtag Money Making Motivation. This is your #1 source for economic empowerment, and we're talking all things trading and how you can make a full-time living working part-time for real, right here on Money Making Motivation. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door, ready to make some. Now let me stop. I always do that. Prime be having that nice drop, ladies and gentlemen. You know how I do. He'll play something that make me want to spit, but I'm not a spitter. I'm a pretender. So, guys.
I just got a text. The check cleared, so I can
check clear. Okay, so we can stay. Yes, so we can stay. So round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So that $10,850 is actually just left, and so I'm actually going on vacation this afternoon. So that means I can't rent the Lambo. I have to rent the Corvette when I get there, because I wanted you to stay that extra hour.
You know what? It's gonna be worth it, bro.
It's gonna be worth it. That's good. That's good, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to get into it a lot more, talking about money management. We're going to be talking about it a lot more now. in the second hour. So definitely tell a friend to tell a friend. Hashtag Money Making Motivation, 855-75-MONEY. We can read your text messages, and we can also, not text messages, your tweets and your inboxes. We can read those live on the air, and we can take your calls, 855-75-66639. Now, we were talking earlier how you and I originally connected because we were talking about the Black Conscious Movement. And I'm actually toying around with something for the Black Conscious community, specifically for the Black Conscious community, economic empowerment specifically for the Black Conscious community. And you and I were talking about Black Wall Street and those type of things. What are your thoughts when it comes to that? And now, well, I have to say this. This does not represent this opinion does not represent General Motors, Jet Smarter, or Markets World Live. These opinions are mine alone, and maybe some of Brooklyn's at all. So our sponsors are not liable, or Sensation Station Network, because I tend to get extremely woke in a heartbeat. I'll go from rapping to talking some Farrakhan in a heartbeat. So that being said, we're going to get into that a little bit more. So what are your thoughts when it comes to that?
I had a eye-opening experience. I saw a video by, I don't know if you've heard of him, Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yes, I have heard of Dr. Claude Anderson.
This was a few years ago.
Older.
Yes. I think he even worked in the Carter administration at one time, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, and he put out this one speech when he was talking about group economics, and he was talking about the building blocks and how we need, and how, as far as the Black community is concerned, how we need to start building, controlling our resources in our own communities. There's a lot of times, you go into, we have neighborhoods, we don't have communities. We have places where we all congregate and live, but as far as communities where basically all of our money pours into, and we all benefit from those resources, we don't really have a lot of that, and he was talking about basically building those things up, having businesses, owning grocery stores, owning, hospitals, banks, media, just different things, like how we had on Black Wall Street in Tulsa and in Raleigh. And people tend to think that it was just in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there was Black Wall Streets all over. Yeah,
it was a movement. It was a movement, and it was starting to spread. The opportunity was starting to spread because once a man's mind has been expanded with knowledge or experience, it will never go back to the satisfied state of ignorance.
Right.
So that being said, if somebody can see an entrepreneur, someone can see an African-American real estate mogul during those times, and they hear about it, they're going to want to do it as well. And that's what started to happen. People don't realize that was actually spread among the southeast of the U.S.
Yeah. They only hear about the actual Tulsa, Oklahoma,
because it was the most devastating tragedy. Over 10,000 people at one. Man, it was amazing. We're going to talk about that.
They had a transit system. They had a transit system
in the 1920s
in that community, a bus system basically. They had hospitals. They had just all these different things going on in this one area, and gone.
Yes. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do YouTube a lot. So if you don't follow me on YouTube, shame on you. Go hit the subscribe button, follow me on YouTube. And I posted a phone conversation with a business that I got approved for $100,000. Black-owned business. And one of my supporters, who happens to be Caucasian, he was like, why are you so racist? And before I had the opportunity to educate, a lot of the other supporters came and said, he's not racist, he's just helping a demographic. Like, the conversation is Black-owned business because people don't know that it's possible for them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that we're excluding another group of people. We're actually including a group of people for things that Caucasians and Asians and Latinos are privy to, that a lot of African Americans don't believe because of that suspicious mentality, that slave mentality that is in the spirit of our bones. We have to get past that self-limiting belief. So it's not that we want to exclude anyone. We're just trying to include people who did not know. We're resending the invitation. You understand what I'm saying? So, guys, we are at the top of the hour that quick. So that check of $10,850 clear. So I'm happy about that. I'm actually about to fly out to Vegas. So we can't ball as hard as we want to, but we're still going to enjoy ourselves. But listen, we're at the top of our hour. When we get back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it a lot more. We're going to talk about some of the strategies. We're going to talk about supply and demand. We're going to talk about historical averages on how you're able able to trade with the trend. We're going to give you some basic tips on the second half of the show. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Give us a call, 855-75-MONEY. That is 855-756-6639. This is your number one source for economic empowerment. We're going into the second half right after this. This is your number one source for economic empowerment.
Get ready. Playing the best R&B and some hip-hop on Sensation Station Network. Sensation Station Network. I'm impressed.
This is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment right here on Sensation Station Network. Guys, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3. We broadcast live on Facebook Live, hashtag Money Making Motivation. You can find us on Facebook, hashtag Money Making Motivation, on Instagram, at E.DeanCole, hashtag Money Making Motivation. You can find us on Twitter. We are everywhere you want to be. We are also broadcasting live in all of your GM vehicles on satellite radio. So we are talking with Mr. The hired gun himself. The hired gun himself. We're talking to Brooklyn, full-time day trader. And so we're talking about, his experience day trading. We're talking about the upcoming course that is sponsored by Markets World Live. Our first hour was a phenomenal hour. So if someone shared this with you, definitely go back and watch that first hour. And we're going to get into a lot of more specifics this hour, talking about the actual analytical side. And you were talking, Brooklyn, before the break, when people think that you have to have degrees in order to trade. You don't necessarily need degrees, but you do need to learn how to trade.
Right.
Because it's not gambling. Some people think it's gambling, especially when it comes to options trading, because the option, you're just quote unquote guessing or betting or analyzing if the market is going to go up or if the market is going to go down.
Right.
And so earlier we were talking about the trend is your friend, trading with the trend. And we were talking about when the big boys on Wall Street begin to trade, you want to get behind them.
Right.
So talk a little bit about,
or actually just ahead.
Just ahead of them, because Now let me now I'm going to give you the layman's term and he's going to give you the technical term. So you guys, if you're watching anywhere in the US, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, the second worst place for traffic right about now. We know when traffic hits. So we know if you want to get ahead of traffic, what you got to do, we got to leave at 3 o'clock before the 5 o'clock traffic jam. If you want to get ahead of traffic, that means you got to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. So if it's the exact same principle with the market, if you know when the traffic jam starts or when rush hour starts, if you get in the market before then, and if you can look at historical averages, then you can actually trade with the trend, and vice versa. If you don't want to trade when everyone else, like the Asian market is one of the slowest markets, the best market to trade if you are a newbie, because it's a lot more predictable, it's a lot less volatile. Same thing when it comes to traffic, if you want to let the traffic die down. And so let's talk a little bit about that. And so you were talking about the historical averages and also understanding when Wall Street opens up. So explain that to everybody, how that works.
Well, initially in the first 15 minutes is just about every market that opens. There's a lot of movement going on, especially between the big currency pairs, the major pairs.
And the major pairs are Euro USD, AUD-JPY, which is the Aussie US dollar, and the Japanese yen, and then the other is the GBP USD, which is the British pound and USD.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of movement that's going on, and the reason why trading in and of itself isn't a form of gambling if you're doing it correctly is because there's a lot of information out there that can teach you how to spot right when a turn is going to come. There's different indicators out there when big institutions like a Goldman Sachs or Lehman Brothers or whatever, when they're putting trades out there to buy they're not buying 100 shares of IBM.
Tens of millions.
They're buying millions. So when they put an order out there, the price is going to shoot up, or if they're selling, it's going to shoot down. And they leave footprints on the stock chart of where they've been. Because when they put out 100,000 shares of IBM or whatever the case may be, at that time, all those 100,000 shares doesn't execute at that time. So there's going to be shares left over right at that price where they executed that trade. So when price gets back to it, it's going to keep filling those orders until all 100,000. So when that's when
you see the spikes. So that means that the price will jump up, then it'll go back down, and then it'll jump back up again, because they're filling those pre-selected orders.
Exactly. They are filling those orders. So when you can look at a chart and you can spot those areas where price has gone to and then it's shot back up again. Well, chances are some big boys is trading in that spot. So you want to be you want to be on your little surfboard, wait for the wave,
Yep.
and you get your trade in just before the big boys take off, and you ride it up.
You ride the wave.
You ride the wave up, and then you got to jump off.
Yes.
Because it will turn against you.
It will turn against you. That's so true.
But that's all things that you can learn, and
that's called price action. Being able to see and understand. Now, I like to use. There are two types of candlesticks that I like to use. I like to use the traditional candlesticks, and then I also like to use the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. Are you familiar with Heikin-Ashi candlesticks?
I've heard about it, but I don't use it. I'm more of the traditional candlesticks. That's kind of how I started, and I found like less is more for me.
Yeah, naked trading. That's called naked trading.
Right,
yes.
right. Because I can being the type of mentality that I have, I'm very analytical, coming from an IT background. So I will straight exhaust all kind of information and then never get in the trade. So
psych yourself out the trade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely a situation where I try to keep everything real simple, real limited. That way I can focus on exactly what my task at hand is.
That's good. Now, we would talk about the trend is your friend. Now, in the course, we're going to be talking about price action, which is being able to look at how a candlestick forms. And what a candlestick is the physical reference of the sell and buy tickets that we see on the U.S. Stock Exchange. So when we get back from break, we're going to talk about that a little bit more, explaining candlestick patterns, what that means. So if you know anyone that's interested in day trading, have them to share this with them. If you're watching on Facebook, and tell them, call them, if they're in that beautiful Impala, tell them to turn on Sensation Station Network, guys. When we get back, we're going to break it down a little bit more. This is Sensation Station Network. I'm your host, E.DeanCole, and you're listening to Money Making Motivation right here from 1 to 3 every Tuesday and Thursday. Hot off the money presses, guys. What's going on in pop culture? What's going on in the news, and how it affects you? In the first hour of the show, we were talking about Donald Trump and how he actually walked away from from a reporter for ABC when he was being held accountable for his remarks against President Obama. And Donald Trump is a very interesting character, and we were talking a little bit about, and we were just talking about sentiment, or not sentiment. We're about to get into sentiment. What sentiment means is basically reading the market. And we were talking earlier about how there have been several situations where a lot of people are frustrated with Donald Trump, but they don't know how to capitalize and maximize on that. Like you were talking about starting your businesses and getting your business together, right?
Right.
Now, what's happening is that President Trump is just petition Congress to have a 1.3 trillion increase when it comes to import and export. So that means that everybody in the trucking industry, that means that everybody who is a entrepreneur who deals with freight, whether they are working the ports, or whether they're doing dry van, or whether they're doing reefer, or they're doing step deck, or whether they're doing car hauling, all of that is freight. Yes, all of that is freight, and there's a great opportunity for you to get involved in that, whether it's owning a truck or even the stock market, when it comes to investing in some of those stocks. So hot off the money presses, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you guys to stay woke so that you can be prepared to maximize on some of these opportunities, and that's what we're talking about on this half of the show, how to maximize. We're going to talk about some strategies. We're going to talk about finances. Also, the Met Gala. Are you a fan of the Met Gala? Are you a fan of stuff like that?
Nah, not really.
Not so much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, P. Diddy showed out on the red carpet. He had on this black outfit, and he had Cassie. She was looking phenomenal. And P. Diddy, he's about 50 years? Not 50. He's about 40.
Yeah, he's
about 40. Yeah, I think Cassie is 21, 22? Yeah, I know you don't. You feel some type of way with that.
Man, look, I got a 25-year-old.
Yeah, so listen.
Yeah, so I ain't feeling them numbers.
You're not feeling those numbers. What if they treated your daughters right?
You know what? I kind of always had the impression of, what are you gonna talk about? What's the commonality there? And so that is important. Yeah, that's really important. You know, because if I got to break out my shotgun, then
listen, we're gonna break that thing out. Listen, because I have a gorgeous daughter. Unfortunately, fortunately, I have a gorgeous daughter.
But there's gonna be problems.
There's gonna be problems, and I have a thing for gorgeous women. So my ex-wife was absolutely gorgeous on the outside, and so so that means that my daughter is just the most beautiful thing, and so I wish God would bless me with a son or a Rottweiler or a couple of shotguns or something as she gets older. Yes. So, because you're gonna have to come through Daddy. Yeah. I can't imagine what that conversation was like with Diddy and her parents, because they're about the same age, if not a little bit younger.
Right.
Interesting.
Like I couldn't imagine one of my homies coming to me like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take care of her, right?
Come on, man. I'm gonna take care of you first. I'm gonna give you what you want. Let's step outside.
Let's step outside. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some more.
Yeah, so that's a touchy subject, and so basically, I said all of that to say Twitter went in an uproar last night, talking about the outfits that Rihanna stole the show. Migos were on the red carpet, and they were doing their thing with Met Gala, and so basically, what the Met is basically wearable art, and every single year they get to have different themes, and so this theme was like a gothic theme. It was like a character theme, because Coachella just came out last week, so we were talking a little bit about that. So that's what's been going on in pop culture. That's what's been going on hot off the money presses. So the most important thing, though, that I really want you guys to talk about and maximize is how we're able to capitalize on these trends when it comes to trading. So what are some of the things people ask you to teach them how to trade all the time, right?
All the time.
What are some of your aspects when you take somebody on or you want to teach somebody? What are some of the things you look for a mentee?
Well, commitment, number one. Because
it's dedicated.
It's not an easy thing at all.
We make it look easy. Listen, make $1,000 in an hour, but it's not that easy.
No. There's a lot of work goes into it, and one of the things that, and even for myself, just from a personal experience, if you're not dedicated into learning it, you could end up wasting people's time.
Yes, you can.
So that's why a lot of times I think that seeing someone's commitment up front helps me, because I'm more than willing to ever help anybody. Get their feet wet, even give them the basics. I have a best friend that I'm really going to be working with him on. He's definitely dedicated. He's always hit me up, and sometimes I got to find the time to really
get with him.
And so we really even haven't had a really good sit down yet, but. Hopefully if you're listening, Warren,
Warren, we make sure you listen.
Yeah, I'm
gonna share this with you. Matter of fact, let's tag Warren in this right now.
Warren, I'm gonna come and get you, man. We gonna make it to the top. But it's really just having showing that dedication up front, because there's gonna be times that, like we said, you're gonna lose sometimes. But learning how to lose the right way,
yes.
And then understanding, the psychology behind it helps you to win. When winning comes.
And those are the two major things we're going to talk about this hour: how to win the right way. I'm going to show you how you can make $30,000 a year by investing only $10 or $20 a day. Yes, I'm going to show you how you can invest $10 or $20 a day and you can make $30,000 a year. I'm going to break it down later on in the show. We're going to talk about that, and then we're also talking about we talked about the money management and the psychology of trading.
Yes.
What your psychology has to be like. So later on in the show, I'm going to break that down for you guys on what my mentor taught me on how to trade, because I've always traded options. I traded Forex a little bit, but most importantly, we're going to break that down. So when we get back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into that. So when we get back, we're going to get into it. My 2 cents, I'm going to read your tweets. I'm going to read your comments. Give us a call, 855-75-MONEY. That is 855-756-6639. This is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment. And I'm your host, E.DeanCole, right here on Sensation Station Network.
The Bureau of Justice Assistance and the Ad Council.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Dance, 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 dance. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Money Making Motivation, your #1 source for economic empowerment right here on Sensation Station. And I'm your host, E.DeanCole. We broadcast live every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 right here on Atlanta, Georgia, from Frisco to Maine all the way to Spain. We're going all the way around the world with this thing. We're broadcasting in all GM vehicles, and you can listen to us on SensationStationNetwork.com. If you are not in a GM vehicle, I have clients that are in the trucking industry. They love talk radio. They absolutely do, because all they're doing is driving. And they was like, Dean, can you broadcast in a Freightliner? And I was like, well, you're going to have to get on your phone and go to Facebook and just put us on speaker and as you ride out, But, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so we were talking about it before the break. My 2 cents. We're going to get into that. We're going to read your tweets. We're going to read your comments. So at E.DeanCole on Twitter, hashtag Moneymaker Motivation. On Instagram, hashtag Moneymaker Motivation. On Facebook, hashtag Moneymaker Motivation. You guys have done a phenomenal job and shared. We had over 1,000 people watching. Now we have almost 3,000 people watching live. So I appreciate that. You guys are phenomenal for that. We really appreciate the support. And so let's talk about it a little bit more. Let's talk about the psychology of trading. And when you talk about the psychology of trading, I want to know, what are some of the self-limiting beliefs or some of the things you had to face? I'm going to break it down that I've had to face, and then we're going to talk about how you can make $30,000 a year just by investing $10 to $15 per day.
One of the things, it was actually in one of my courses, there was a online test that you could take, kind of like a psychological test, to find out the type of trader you are. And no surprise, I was an analytical trader.
Being coming from an IT background.
Right. What I've discovered, just within myself is, one of the things about the psychology of it is that when money is on the table, even if it's fake money, but when the thought of losing, because nobody likes to lose.
Nobody likes to lose.
We want to win every time.
That's very true.
There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that, if everybody won all the time, we wouldn't really have a stock market. There's got to be ups and downs, but understanding that when you set certain risks, really not risks, but when you set certain rules, you're only going to risk.
It has to risk when certain set industry conditions.
Right. When you have certain rules set up, like, I'm only going to trade in this particular asset if the market shows this situation, and then that's the only time you trade. I'm only going to get in if I'm moving with the trend. I'm only going to I'm only going to take this short if there's a certain price point I'm trying to meet. And then being able to stick to those rules, keep you disciplined, because ultimately when I found out myself, my negative is I'm a revenge trader sometimes. I lose on a trade.
I'm sure you got to chase that trade.
I got to get back in it. I got to get that money back. And it's like okay, but when I see that, talking myself out of it, okay, well, why do I need to get back in this trade? Is the market even right for me to get back in this trade?
That's very true. It's funny you say that. I did a post on Facebook, and I said, I won't chase a woman, but I'll chase a trade.
It happens, though.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And one of the things...
If it's a good trade.
That's exactly. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. A lot of times, it's your strike price. And what a strike price is the market, is the area in which you get into the market. So a lot of times, there's something that's called retracement. And when you're reading the indications, you're reading the trends, everything is supposed to go in the direction it's supposed to go. But there are some circumstances that you can't predict. So what will happen is a lot of times you might get some pullback, but you know that it's going to go that direction. It just stalled.
Right.
So when that happens, that's when you chase that trade and you get a better strike price. Like last night, I ended up winning 2 trades because I saw it reverse on me. I was like, oh, shoot, I got my strike price wrong. So I doubled up and got into the trade, and I ended up winning both of them just because it ended going in that direction.
I did that this morning.
Okay, awesome. We was probably trading the same.
Yeah, but that's exactly right. It's like, understanding that if you've put in the work to chart out your trade properly, you got to trust in and believe in what you just charted out. If you have the right instruction, then know that when the price pulls back on you, that's just normal market movement.
Yes.
Don't panic, because that's what a lot of novice traders do. They see the price move against them. If it's 1 tick, 2 ticks, well, I mean, that's in futures it's ticks. If a couple ticks against you,
and Forex is called basis points. I'm sorry,
pips.
Pips.
Forex is pips.
Pips, yeah.
Futures is ticks. It starts to move against you, and now all of a sudden it's like, you get worried, you get nervous. It gets close to what we talked about earlier, stop. Because in futures you predetermine how much I want to risk in a trade. I only want to risk $50 in this trade. You know, if I'm wrong about my charting, I'm only going to lose $10 in this trade. You can predetermine that, set your trade out there, and then just wait for the market to come to you. And you know, but sometimes it'll turn against you. You know, it's like negative $1, negative $5, negative $6. You're like, oh gosh, it's going, it's going to stop me out. It's going to stop me out. Having the right mentality, like, look, I did all the work beforehand. Let me trust in this trade.
And sometimes you got to walk away.
And
walk away. Listen, there has been many a times where I've hit the button and I've traded and I got up, walked away. Let me go get something to drink. And then come back and just listen for it. Because certain indicators, there are actually bells and different things that will notify you when the trade goes in the proper direction. So when we get back, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about how you can invest $15 or $20 a day and make $30,000 a year trading in the Forex market. We're going to break that down. So listen, tell a friend to listen to Sensation Station Network. This is Money Making Motivation. I'm your host, E.DeanCole, and we're going to have more right after this, right here on Sensation Station Network. This is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment. Guys, we are broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia, from Frisco to Maine, all the way to Spain. We're going all the way around the world with this thing. We are broadcasting live in all GM vehicles in front of 3.5 million people, and we are broadcasting on Sensation Station Network, hashtag Money Making Motivation. We're going to read your we read your questions live on the air at E.DeanCole on Twitter, hashtag Money Making Motivation, and Instagram, hashtag Money Making Motivation. We are everywhere you want to be. I promise you. Send a courier pigeon, hashtag Money Making Motivation. We're going to send an intern to go and get that thing, right? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have been asking a lot of questions on live, and so I'm going to actually answer some of these questions because some of you guys are sneaking at work. Like, Dean, I want to know. I want to figure this out. So I'm actually going to answer some of these questions live. I have to make sure that I take the sound down, so that I don't have a lot of feedback, because I'm about to get into this. So let's go ahead and I'm going to read some of your questions live on the air. So we have, so shout out to Mr. Derek Ford of Powerful Men of Style.
Oh, that's my homie.
Again. Yeah, Derek is the man, Shout out for Derek Ford for chiming in. He says, what's going on, my man? We got Ray David in the building, listening live. Big hello from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, Ray David is a trucker. We were talking about the trucking industry, and he happens to be a supporter of mine on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, hashtag Money Making Motivation, and go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell. And I do live Q&As actually on YouTube. So if you want to reach out to me, you can always reach me there. We have Mr. Warren says lagging indicators. What do you think about lagging indicators, and what are your thoughts on that?
That's one of the indicators that I don't use, only because when it comes to price movement for me, I'm more so concerned with the levels, that are created from supply and demand zones,
as well as support and resistance.
Right.
And I'm gonna break that down in the second half.
Right. We kind of have different terminology on it, but
same difference.
And even though indicators are a good indication of at how price is moving, and possibly even volume.
MACD, like the MACD indicator. And I'm going to break this down for you guys who don't like, what are they talking about? I'm going to break it down for you.
But nothing is more important than when you know that when price hits this particular price point right here, it's going to turn. And even though indicators are big, and different things like that, I still just utilize when I know it hits the supply zone, prices are going to go down. It may not go down right away. Maybe I'm
talking about some retracement.
Right. But it's definitely going to go in that direction. So when it comes to, there are definitely traders out there that use Bollinger Bands. We talked about that. And moving averages and things like that.
Exponential EMAs, exponential moving averages. And those are lagging indicators. So let me break that down a little bit. So what a lagging indicator is, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys who do not know, it is an indicator based on historical averages, based on what the market should have done. Patterns repeat itself, and that's a good way to trade, but not the only way to trade. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that when we get back. So I want you guys to stay tuned. I'm about to read more of your questions. We're going to get into it right here on Sensation Station Network. I'm your host, E.DeanCole, and this is Money Making Motivation.
and the Ad Council.
Everybody successful lays a blueprint out. We laid the blueprint out. I stayed true to my dreams, and by doing that, eventually it came true.
A lot of times, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and then funky relationship here, and all these things. You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
I love that.
Your history.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment, and I'm your host, E.DeanCole. Listen, we've been having some really good conversation. We should have been doing a YouTube live behind the scenes because we were just talking about some good stuff and we just got caught up into it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment, and I'm your host, E.DeanCole, and I have the phenomenal Brooklyn Phoenix, full-time traded hired gun. If you want to know what it takes to hire him, it's $10,585 or $80. Asked me how I know. I had to cut 2 of them checks. So he is a full-time trader, and we were just talking about some different things, and we're reading your comments live on the air and some of your tweets live on the air. So we are, you are participating in the show. We are everywhere you want to be. So ladies and gentlemen, so we were just talking about indicators, and someone asked about a lagging indicator, about lagging indicators. And so what we were talking about is, in my opinion, like I said, we don't gamble. We trade. There's a difference. There's a trade. You know without a shadow of a doubt when 5 o'clock traffic jam hits. That's not gambling. You know it based on what you know about that area. You know it based on historical averages. You know what it looks like. So you can kind of determine the direction is going to go based on that. Now, a lagging indicator, some lagging indicators like EMA, which are exponential moving averages, Bollinger Bands, which is historically what the market has been in. Mm-hmm. What happens is that, in my opinion, when you do a lagging indicator, they can be very good to help you determine the trend if you're jumping in the middle of a market. Right. You don't know the direction that the trade is going, but you need that to be your last. I think there's a total of 3. There's something I call, it's called 1, 2, 3, let it be. You know, they talk about with, what was it, when you eat leaves outside when you're a Boy Scout, they say 1, 2, 3, let it be, 1, 2, 3, 4, eat some more. That's like, because poison ivy has, or poisonous plants have 3 different points on it. Okay. Or sometimes cannabis actually has 3 points. No, I think cannabis got 5 points on it. I don't know. I think so 1, 2, 3, 5. We about to go live. But anyway, so basically, whenever I do a trade, there are 3 things that I look for to determine the direction. And one of those things is I use those lagging indicators just for confirmation. The first thing I look for is my support and resistance lines, or supply and demand. Mm-hmm. Second thing I look for is price action, how the candlesticks are forming. If it is a bullish market or a bearish market, I'll break that down for you guys later. And the third thing I look at are my indicators, just to confirm what I want to do in those first 2 things, if it is close to one of those lagging indicators. So that was a very good question. Who asked that question? So I think that indicators are good, but I don't think you should rely on indicators. And one of the mistakes that a lot of new traders make is they buy these expensive indicators, and they buy these different robots and all the other stuff. And I don't subscribe to that. I think that those are gimmicks, and people get taken advantage of with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I suggest that you learn how to trade. Don't gamble, but actually learn how to trade. And you're actually in a course that's teaching, that taught you a lot of things about trading, just like what I was talking about when you were talking about psychology, is my mentor taught me. He says that you need to take 100 trades on demo before you take any trade live. Yeah. You need to take 100 trades on demo before you take any trade live, but you have to wait for those 3 things. Don't just take 100 trades to take 100 trades, but actually what he taught is I have a journal full of trades, and I have the currency pair that I took, the time that I took the trade, why I took the trade, and if I won the trade or if I lost the trade. So those are the 4 things that I have in this journal. And he said that you take 100 of those trades before you go live. And because I did that is why I was able to make $8,000 in one day. But because of my money management, and when I got off the trade, and not lack of discipline, I lost all of it. You know what I'm saying? But I said all of that to say that the psychology of trading is something that we talked about as high probability trading.
Yes.
you only want to trade high probability. I've been promising and I've been teasing it, so I'm about to show you guys how. You can invest $10 or $15. No, $15 to $20. $15 to $20 a day and turn that into $30,000 a year. But first, you have to share this. If you're watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook, hit that share button. And after the break, when we come back from the break, I'm going to break that down for you, and I'm going to share that for you guys. But I want to talk about it most importantly, though, is that you have the psychology. You have to have a mentor. You have to have somebody that's going to discipline to teach you. You know, if you are a doctor, you have to go into your residency.
Exactly.
When you are a attorney, you have to do mock court. When you are a trader, you need to be trading on demo. Don't go straight live. Don't make that mistake. Yes, paper trading. So when we get back, we're going to be talking about it, guys. I'm going to break it down for you how you're able to invest $15 or $20 a month, $15 to $20 a day, and turn that into $30,000 a year. We're going to talk about that right here on Sensation Station, and I'm your host, E.DeanCole, on Money Making Motivation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Money Making Motivation, your number one source for economic empowerment. And I'm your host, E.DeanCole, and we are talking stocks, bonds, Forex, day trading. We have the hired gun. We have Mr. Brooklyn Phoenix in the building. He actually had to go and take care of something real quick. And before the break, I was talking about it. I've been teasing about it. How can you invest $20 a day, $15 a day, $20 a day, and make $30,000 a year? You know, the average household income, and we got Brooklyn back with us, the average household income is, about $25,000 a year? I think, the average household income is around, the average individual who has a high school education is around $25,000 a year. The average college graduate is about $40,000 a year. When you go into masters, you're in the 50 or 60,000 supposedly. Right. But I know some folks that's working at Taco Bell with a PhD. Listen to me, because it's your mindset. Listen. So, and I also know some folks that have a GED that make over $150,000 a year.
Real.
Listen, it's the mindset.
Yep.
Not the mindset, not the piece of paper. There's definitely the mindset. So,
sure is.
We're going to talk about that. Spending and get it right back. How you're able to invest and turn around and get it back. So listen, let's do the math, ladies and gentlemen. $30,000 a year. So $30,000 a year before taxes is $662 a week. That's it. $662 a week. That's all it is. Now, this morning, you made, $400 in one day, right?
Correct.
How many trades was that you took?
Total? Winning
it was 10 trades.
It was 10 trades total.
Because you were at 80% win ratio. So let's talk about it. How you're able to make $662 in a week trading. Let me show you. My mentor, like I said, he taught me binary options. He's actually out of Australia. He taught me out of Australia. So the AUD, I think that's another reason why I think I like the Asian market. The AUD, my pet pair at night in the Asian market is the AUD JPY, which is the that's like my pet pair, and it's one of the slowest moving. Yes, nice. It's one of the slowest moving ones. You can easily find a trend when it comes to that. And he was out of Australia, and basically this is what you do: is you trade the profits and you capitalize on the profits. So let's do the math. So if you take a $20 trade. All right, the average winning trade is around 70%. So you take $20 and you multiply that by 70%. That equals, you get a $14 profit. All right, so that means that you turn that $20 into, hold on for a second, make sure I'm right, into that's $34. Okay, so that's one trade. All right, and then the second trade that you take is the exact same trade, $20 trade. $14 profit. So now you're at profit of $28. So now we're going to talk about how you're able to turn that $28 into that's $600. Now, we talk about high probability trading.
Right.
When the mistake that I made, the mistake that a lot of people make when they think about day trading, they think about a regular 9-to-5 job.
Right.
All day. You do not have to trade all day long. My mentor makes one trade a day. He makes one trade a day. And he makes $1,400 off of one trade. But that's because he waits for the high probability setup. And that's why you have to make sure that the conditions are right. And also, his lot size is larger. That's how I got a little big for my britches. That's how I ended up making $8,000 in one day. Think about that. He traded one time, and he making $1,400. So guess what I did? I made 7 or 8 trades doing the exact same thing. Yeah, I'm winning. Then I got off of my rhythm. And the next day I'm doing the same thing and lost all of it because I did not readjust. And we're going to talk about that, my risk management, being more conservative. So let's talk about that. So if you're able to do 2 trades, right? So you do a $20 trade. You do a $20 trade, and you said $14 is your profit. You do secondary trade, $14 is your profit. So now you're full profit. So you're in profit for that day of $28. All right. Now we're talking about how to make $662 for the week now. So let's talk about that. So you take a $28 and you do another 70% trade. Okay. So if you do $28 and you add 70% to that, that's $19.60. And you just turn that $28 profit into $47.60 profit. All right. So now we're talking about 3 trades. So let's do one more trade for that day. So if you're doing good, you're with the rhythm, making sure you wait for the high probability trade. Your 4th trade for this is Monday. Your 4th trade for Monday, you take that $47.60. Okay. $47.60, and you multiply that by 70%, and that equals $47. Excuse me, I'm doing my math. $47.60. Then you add 70% to that. That is $33. That's $33. So now you take $47.33. So now you're at $80. So Monday you've just made $80. Okay, but you're still straight profit because you did 2 trades to get a profit, and then you kept going with your profit, traded on your profit. And we're talking about an entire 8-hour period. The market is open 24 hours a day.
Right.
So you want to wait just 4 trades a day. For somebody that's a novice, 4 trades a day, wait for the highest probability setup. Now you're at $80 for that day. Now we're going into the next day. So now we're talking about Tuesday. So you take that $80 that you made on Monday and you multiply that by 70%. When you win that trade, that is $56 that you just added. So you do $80 plus $56, you're now at $136 for the first trade. All right, so this trade number 1 for the day. So you wait for the second high probability setup. In a 8-hour window, there's going to be around 10 or 15 high probability setups. Absolutely. In an 8-hour window, when you make sure that the conditions are right, not just because it looks good, not because it feels good, but when the conditions are right, you can do about 10 or 15. We're just talking about doing 4. So you take that $136, all right, you take that $136 and you multiply that by another 70%. All right, so now you're at $95. So you take 136 plus 95, you're at $231, okay? We're on Tuesday, $231, all right? That 4th trade for that day, $231, all right, plus 70%, 161 added, $392 on Tuesday, just by doing 4 trades that day. When we get back, we're going to break it down a little bit more. We're going to talk about what if you lose. We're going to talk about risk management. We're going to break that down a little bit more. So we're trying to get $600, $662 in a week. On Tuesday, we're already at $392. When we get back, we're going to talk about it a lot more right here on Money Making Motivation, your #1 source for economic empowerment. Wipe me down. Wipe me down. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been having a great time talking about it, breaking it down, walking it down, wiping me down. So this has been a phenomenal show, ladies and gentlemen. It goes by so quick. And we're talking about how you're able to invest $20 and turning that into $30,000 a year. So right before the break, we were breaking it down. So the win ratio that we try to stay in is a 60% win ratio. And I was giving a strategy where you're able to wait for the top 4 highest probability. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to win, but the highest probability trade. And we're trying to get to $666 a week, because $666 a week is $30,000 a year. So what we were talking about, basically, if you guys are just not tuning in, you take the $20 you invested, you take the same $20 invested, now you're in profit. So now you take your profit and then you start to boost up the profit by waiting for the highest probability trades. Now, we're on Tuesday morning, and where were we at? $327?
Something around there.
Yeah, $327. So now we're on Wednesday morning. All right. Wednesday morning, we are at $327. You take that one $327 trade. That's that one $327 trade on Wednesday morning. And you win at 70% win ratio. So it's $327. And you add 70% to that. You have an extra $228. Guess where you're at? $666. So you so on Wednesday, you're there. Now, what you do is you stop. Now, if you stop, if you win that, or Wednesday, you stop. Now, what you do is you start over again. So you don't take that 666. what you do is you start over again for what, $50. And so let's say, for instance, so Dean, okay, let's talk about money management. Now, that's all things being equal. We just talked about having 9 winning trades in a row. That's it, just 9 winning trades. 4 trades on Monday, 4 trades on Tuesday, Wednesday morning, the 9th trade, you should be getting the money if you are really, 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 really strategic about it. Like we said, in an 8-hour period, you're going to have about 15 or 20 high probability trades. If you're disciplined enough and you can sit down and you can stay down and you can get down and wait for those high probability trades, that's a good possibility that you can do that. But let's say if you lose, what do? We talk about chasing a trade. So let's go back and let's say the first 2 trades you take, so let's say you're at the $28, right? And this happens a lot of times. The $28, which is your profit, and you trade that at 70% ratio. You should be at 28 plus 70%. You should be at $47. See, you lose that trade. So what you do is, if you know without a shadow of a doubt, without any equivocations, that you know the direction is going to go in that direction, then what you do is you double up. Not now, you only do this, like I said, you only chase the trade if you know that it's just a retracement, your entry was wrong. Then what you would do is you would double up. So you would lose that trade of $47, but you know what, $47 plus $20, so you're looking to invest $67 at this time. But you have to make sure that you know the trade is going to go in that direction. Not if you're guessing, not if you're gambling, but if you're just off on your strike price. And when you do that, that's how you're able to catch that trade and get back. And it's already 3 o'clock, God almighty. Time goes by so quick. It's crazy. So basically, that's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, in a 24-hour period, the market is open 24 hours. You're going to find 20 high probability trades. If you're disciplined and if you're able to really do good, proper money management, you can easily get to $666 just by investing that $20 a day, and you're able to do proper money management. You can get into the market $500. Because think about it, if you need room. So the mistake that people make is this: they put $500 in the market. You can't do a $100 trade with $500. That's only 4 trades, and you done blew your account. I've blown my account 3 times before I got good enough to where I made that $8,000 run. I blew my account 3 times before I got disciplined enough. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, stay tuned, stick with us. I wish I can teach so much more on this, but take the free courses, 5, 16, 17, May 16th, 2017, you'll be able to take the free course that's sponsored by Markets World. Stay close to us, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you guys something. Listen, every sickness isn't death. Every goodbye ain't gone. Every closed eye ain't sleep. And every sleep eye ain't closed. I need you guys to stay woke. Get out, go get it, and I want you to come back with it. The only person stopping you from being successful is you. I will be out on vacation. I got to find a way to get all the way back down to my house, pack, and leave. So I won't be here Thursday, but next Thursday, because I come back on Tuesday night. Next Thursday, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to talk about this, depending on if we're not into war with Korea by then. So give us a call. Next Tuesday, we're live from 1 to 3, 855-75-MONEY. This has been a great show. Thank you so much for sticking with us, man. I appreciate that. Great $10,580 well spent. This is Money Making Motivation. I'm your host, E.DeanCole. I will see you guys next Thursday right here on Sensation Station.
We got to keep God first. We got to stay humble. We got to keep working, and we got to get this money. Economic empowerment is what's going to keep all of us on the straight and narrow. Everybody.
Black Jesus.